going on here is Iran, the taskmaster, told the Houthis to stand down. The negotiations are going on. We want to soften up the negotiators for the other side. We want to show that we can, in fact, make peace. That's all they want. They want peace. They want a deal. We'll give them peace. We'll give them a deal, at least for a period of time. In other words, play rope-a-dope like the North Koreans did. Play rope-a-dope like the Iranians themselves have done for 15 years. Try that. See if it works. I don't think it'll work with Trump. He's not Biden, after all. Anyway, the Houthis in Yemen are a major enemy of Saudi Arabia because they've tried to overthrow Saudi Arabia, and they used to fire missiles into Saudi Arabia. They want to take over Yemen. They've destroyed that country and created enormous starvation. The people there are just going through hell. This is another Islamo-Nazi outfit funded by Iran, just like Hamas, just like Hezbollah. But we may have a deal. You never know. So there we have the Houthis. And so they made a mistake. They fired a missile. I don't mean they made a mistake militarily. They made a mistake because they're stupid. At Ben Gurion Airport, they missed the airport by a little and hit right off the airport. And so the Israelis decided to respond. The Israelis responded in 48 hours with a massive attack on the main airport in Yemen and destroyed the airport. It's now unfunctional and blew it to smithereens. And they sent about 20 jet fighters. They sent one or two spy planes to make sure they hit the right spot. They sent this, that, and the other, but they hit it, and they hit it hard. Now, keep something in mind. The Israelis don't have bombers. Bombers are very expensive. Just very difficult for a small country with a limited GDP to build bombers. It's even expensive for us to build bombers. I mean, they're several $1 billion apiece. But nonetheless, the Israelis did massive damage to this airport. They hit their main cement factory. You might say, why is that a big deal? Because, again, they built tunnels. They built pillboxes, as we used to call them. They need their cement. Now, they're not going to have as much cement as they wanted. And also, they hit one of their main energy ports, one of their main oil ports, and hit it very, very hard. And they did this all in about 15 minutes. And so that's what happened. So let's take a look at this from the Sun news outlet. Go.
אמרתי פעמים רבות שמי שתוקף את מדינת ישראל דמו בראשו. אתמול אמרתי שהתקיפה של החות'ים תענה לא בזבנג וגמרנו, אלא בזבנגים. אז אתמול נתנו זבנג, מכה קשה לנמל חודדה. היום מטוסינו תקפו את שדה התעופה בסנה, שדה התעופה שמאפשר את צבא הטרור ואת הכניסה האווירית למדינת הטרור שמאפשרת את ירי הטילים נגדנו. הבחירה שלנו מתי להגיב, איך להגיב ועל איזה מטרות להגיב, זה שיקול שאנחנו עושים כל פעם, וזה נוגע גם לפטרון של החות'ים, איראן, שבלעדי האישור שלהם והתמיכה שלהם, לאורך זמן החות'ים לא יכולים לקיים את מתקפת הטילים הנפשעת עלינו. הנשיא טראמפ אמר את זה לפני חודש וחצי, אני אומר את זה גם היום. אנחנו נבוא חשבון עם כל מי שתוקף את מדינת ישראל.
Well, it was a lot worse than that, but you get the drift of what was taking place there. And something strange has happened. But I will explain it to you. I surmised last night on radio that this was what was going on. You don't have to be Einstein. So all of a sudden the Houthis come to the United States and say, okay, ceasefire, we won't shoot your ships anymore. Stop attacking us. And so the president comes out and says they've capitulated. Okay. And I'm thinking to myself, now wait a minute. They capitulated? 2 days after they shot that missile at Ben Gurion, Tel Aviv airport, in Israel obviously, and 4 days before the beginning again of more nuclear talks with Iran, they didn't capitulate. This is a tactic. This is a tactic to give the impression to the administration and the rest that the Houthis are standing down. Then the Houthis come back and they say, but that doesn't include Israel. And I just read, right before this program, that the Houthis are saying, oh no, We reserve the right to strike whatever we want, whenever we want. So what the hell's going on here? What's going on here is Iran, the taskmaster, told the Houthis to stand down. The negotiations are going on. We want to soften up the negotiators for the other side. We want to show that we can, in fact, make peace. That's all they want. They want peace. They want a deal. We'll give them peace. We'll give them a deal, at least for a period of time. In other words, play rope-a-dope like the North Koreans did. Play rope-a-dope like the Iranians themselves have done for 15 years. Try that. See if it works. I don't think it'll work with Trump. He's not Biden, after all. He's not Obama, after all. It shouldn't work. That was what happened. That's what happened. This is all kind of a ruse, or kind of part of a strategy. See, the Iranians told them to stand down. So the Iranians really do want a deal, and they really want peace. The Iranians want a deal that ensures that they can continue. Everybody keeps talking. They have a right to civilian use of these nuclear power. You don't need these centrifuges for nuclear power. You need them for nuclear weapons. I don't know how many more times you and me, we, the people, Mr. and Mrs. America, have to be deceived by this stuff. It's just crazy. And yet it goes on and on and on. Now, there's another area of the world we have to look at. That's India and Pakistan. Even Gandhi couldn't make peace there. You had the Hindus and the Muslims in Greater India. And, well, the Muslims weren't that interested in being part of Greater India. And so even then there were attacks and terrorist attacks and riots and so forth. So long story short, because we don't have all day here, they did divide. They did segregate. They broke off. And you have the creation of this country, Pakistan. Now, Pakistan is an overwhelmingly Muslim country, and of course India is an overwhelmingly Hindu country. And they've been at sword points now since then. And India announced sometime many years ago that they had a nuclear weapon. And then Pakistan, where we tried to prevent them from getting a nuclear weapon, announced that they had a nuclear weapon more recently. So now both of these countries have nuclear weapons. In fact, one so-called influencer, they're not influential, but they like to call themselves influencers. You know, one so-called influencer has said, well, I mean, after all, India has nuclear weapons and Pakistan has nuclear weapons. Why not Iran? How stupid do you have to be an influencer? Influence who? What does that have to do with Iran getting that? Iran is a terrorist state that keeps saying death to America. Okay, well, we know that here. So there's also constantly China backing Pakistan, agitating against India. India is aligned with Russia and with the United States. And there's this constant battle over Kashmir, which is this area, this territory that China claims, Pakistan claims, and India claims. India is now the most populated nation on the face of the earth, followed closely by communist China. And China has much more powerful weapons. India's trying to weapon up, and Pakistan is too, but they all three of them have nukes. But let's take a look at this. Go.
India has launched military strikes against Pakistan, intensifying a confrontation between the nuclear-armed nations.
Now let's stop here. What happened was there were terrorist attacks against India from Pakistan. And India has responded by attacking, I think, 10 or 12 locations in Pakistan. Go ahead.
India said it acted in retaliation for a deadly militant attack on tourists in Indian-administered Kashmir last month.
For both sides, it's very emotional because of the long history between the two countries. They react way more immediately. That could escalate really quickly.
India said it carried out strikes on 9 sites in Pakistan, targeting camps terrorists had used to stage attacks against India. Pakistan has denied involvement in April's attack, which left 26 people, mostly Indian tourists, dead.
Stop. Pakistan is involved in these terrorist attacks against India. No question about it. And this is why Pakistan often is best run by these military dictators who come in and try and keep some control over the terrorists. It's a country that is a mess that borders Afghanistan, the Taliban, And certain of the Pakistani terrorists, they work with each other, they fund with each other, they marry each other, and so forth and so on. And that's going on in Pakistan. And yet Pakistan is at least a putative ally of the United States, too. Go.
There has been evidence over the years, of course, that Pakistan has funded or supported militant groups that have led to attacks in India. But what a lot of analysts and experts will point out is a lot of these groups are no longer really under Pakistan direct control. They've, have a life of their own. They have their own plans. So even if it originated in Pakistan, it might not be actually state directed.
Yeah, but if it's not state directed and it's still coming out of Pakistan, India has to defend itself. Look, I'm not a special pleader for any of them here. But it seems to me that India, which is a democracy, has a far more rational position than does Pakistan. Go.
India's attack came despite a diplomatic push to lessen tensions that have reached their highest point in years.
They've been fighting for a long time. They've been fighting for many, many decades and centuries, actually, if you really think about it. No.
Oh, we could always send Witkoff over there. Go ahead.
So the thinking was maybe India would make the calculation to do some retaliatory action, but maybe not in like an aggressive one. But as we found out today, they decided to actually not only launch airstrikes in Pakistan, but go an extra step beyond what they've done during previous tussles with Pakistan, which is some of the strikes have landed deeper into Pakistan than they have.
Pakistan's army said 26 people had been killed in the attack. Pakistan's defense minister also claimed 5 Indian aircraft had been shot down. India's foreign ministry didn't respond to a request for comment. Kashmir remains one of the most militarized regions in the world. Both India and Pakistan claim all the territory, but only control portions of it.
The root of the conflict goes back decades. The two countries were both under British rule during colonial times, and then they were split into two countries in 1947 during what's called partition. So it became Muslim majority Pakistan and Hindu majority India, but they have been fighting over some territories that were essentially split in half, and the main contested territory is Kashmir.
The latest tensions follow years of a frosty peace. But Pakistan has vowed to retaliate.
Pakistan reserves the right and will respond to this aggression.
Pakistan is definitely going to be forced to retaliate, given that there are deaths. They've come out and said they consider the strikes an act of war by India against Pakistan.
This is a big deal. So we're going to keep an eye on it. I'm sure you will too. It'll be all over the media, but this is a big deal and you got to hope it doesn't escalate.
For all this and much more, sign up for Levin TV.